Guys, so welcome to the latest episode. So in the last episode, we made some changes. We didn't commit them, so let's review the changes. There was this random change in cargo.lock, which we can ignore. So we basically added the concept URL everywhere. I don't remember why did we do that. Just as a Yeah, I'm not sure why did we do that. Anyways, we also added status and included this icons, right? So in the site now, yeah. So this is where we left. So we implemented icons. There are no icons right now. Yeah, because the status is new. I think if it is done, then we will see this icon. And put status as something else. Let's say scene. I think, yeah. So now there are three statuses and three different visual treatments. So this is a done icon. Maybe we should make the done icon green to make it further stand out. Icon done. So yeah, cool. So this is what we implemented, and we also implemented the underline thing. Right? So let's go back and see the difference again. So we implemented based on the status. We used icons, and this is where we are using. This is how we are using icons. So we use the phosphor icon library, and then here we are using phosphor bold and phosphor bold circle and check circle two icons. And also we used we went to the phosphor icon site to get the names right for each icon. So all these are the names that we can use over here. Cool. And yeah, and then we also implemented this condition, right? If it's the current URL, then I think somewhere, yeah, this is this line. We added the condition underline. So that's how we implemented this underlining feature. And cool. So let's uh, comment. So actually, if you remember, we are down. So and we are not. I mean, we have done a few changes in the future in this branch, in the main branch, which we don't want to because we didn't cover them those changes during this live stream. So we have gone back to this commit, and and we are going to implement those changes back slowly so that whatever. But we are going to create a new branch. So check out minus b. Let's say we repeat. We are repeating the process, and now we can. So we have implemented underline current document change in TOC and status icons. Right. So this is what we implemented, and we'll just do a git push. And so what do we implement next? Right. So now, in order to do that, so this is the commit. This is the in the past in the other branch. This was the first commit. So here, okay, let's see what do we want to implement next. So we started also implementing this. If you look at this, this self-assessment form, right? So now the self-assessment form right now is coming for all documents, right? Whether they are, so let's look at our documents, right? So if you see currently all of them are, let me do this, right? So, so basically we are saying ki, okay, this technically this should have been a, let's say introduction is not something you're learning. This is just some random discussion we are covering. So it's not really a concept, and the other stuff are concepts, right? So uh, we don't want self-assessment to happen for introduction, right? So for introduction, we don't want this. Oh man, yeah. So we don't want this self-assessment form to come on um, the pages which are not concept pages, right? So how do we do that? So we are going to do it through via backend, right? So in order to do it via backend, we are going to have to change this type, right? So if you see this type, so our backend, which is this for the stuff for this page so far, is basically returning a list right now. At the top level, it's returning a list. We want it to return something else. So we'll call it for now, what is it called? Let's teach dot page data. So instead of returning just a list, we are going to now create a new thing called page data. Right. So it has to be defined over here. So page data. So right, so we are going to create a new record. So this is what the our popular TOC will return. It will have a list of entry list TOC, right? It has to still return the list, but it has to also now return Boolean, and current page is concept page, right? So so when we if our backend returns this, right? So we have to change, uh, right? So if you remember the call was like this in let's teach, right? So this was the call. It was earlier, right? So this is how we are passing the uh, this TOC variable, right, to this page by making it the default value. So bottom line is key now this should not be actually called TOC, but it should be called page data page, right? So now I have a variable called, no, it should be called, it will be a concept, so we can't call it because the name of, yeah, we can use this, yeah, we can use this. So we go to our page and we will have to, sorry, we'll have to call this meta dot page data, and this has to be lt dot page data, and we should call it data because this is inside the component. Now because we are overwriting this must have had an original version page, right? So this will no longer take this, but it will be page data, and this will be called data. Show TOC will do data dot TOC, and yeah, and this we can put the condition if schema is Some, how can this editor have this bug? Current page is concept page. So, okay, right. So this particular self-assessment form we want only to show up when this is the case, right? But now how do we know that, right? So how do we set this? So the default value should be probably false, right? So, but actually it doesn't matter because we are populating this only by this call. So the backend has to return this variable. So let's go there and now create this new struct. We are going to need the stuff, but we have to create a struct called page data. And yeah, so and this will have the TOC, which is this, but we also have current page is the what did we call it? So uh, and this would be a bool. And and now what we are going to do is the return this type. For now, we are going to let's do one thing. Let's create a variable like this. So we'll soon populate it, but okay, and same here, right? So for now, we are saying current page is concept URL is false. So this form will not should not be visible on any of these pages, right? So let's check that out. So line number 16. Yeah. So this is perfect, right? So as we expected, this is not visible anywhere. This page only these two pages only don't exist. So bottom line is that this is not visible anywhere. So now this logic we can fix this logic. So how do we implement this? So we have to go over the TOC, right? And we have to do iter and any, right? So what any what, right? So no, not any. Yeah. So we can put the condition of of e dot URL. So every entry has a URL, and then we have to compare this with current URL. We will need the current URL also. So how do we get the current URL? I think we'll have to bring the current URL as a parameter. And it is of type string.
क्या कर रहा हो? Podcast.
Yeah. Current URL. We don't have to pass this guy. And now we have to say equal to current URL. And now, so, and yeah, yeah, this is the condition. Right. So this is our condition. So it is current page, and so concept page, right? So this is I think this logic is absolutely fine. So now what we are expecting, right? So this guy introduction is not a concept page, whereas this is a concept page. So the form will not come here, but the self-assessment form will come here, right? So let's see. So here the current page is concept page. So it says key number, let's say line number 40 in meta. Line number 40. Yeah, one we have not passed the current URL. So this is going to be let's because remember we created this new variable over here. Sorry, we created this new variable called current URL, right? So that's how the current URL highlighting works. So we have to pass the current URL, right, to the backend. Okay, error change. Oh, this is because no. Odd. Okay. I don't know what is happening. Let's try doing this. Perfect. So looks I don't know why can't I access this let's teach dot current URL. It's, that is interesting. It's weird. I have no idea. Anyways, bottom line is this is working, and now introduction should not show the self-assessment form. Perfect. So now we can comment this part. So what have we done? So we have added the current URL as the input, and we got the current pages concept page from the backend, and so yeah, so, and using that we are showing or not showing the self-assessment form. So we can say current self, right? So push this change also. Now what do we do next? Right. So let's see what else have we done over here. So this part is done. Uh, Fix is current page. So we didn't have to do this because we did that logic over there. So yeah, I think this particular commit, right? We have gone through all the stuff we had implemented in this commit. I don't know why did I do this. It's not interesting. Self-assessment form, page data list. I think we've implemented all of this, and we can go on to the implement next part. So what do we want to implement next? So this was self-assessment, conceptual organization stuff. Okay. So now we are going to start working on the update because we have to create the form. So interesting. So what all have we done? So let's see. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I'm trying to understand why did I add this variable. Okay, let's go step by step. So you want to create this update, right? So let's create this update concept stuff, and also the actual form, right? So we have to create the actual form, right? So yeah, let's. I mean, the simplest thing would be to we just copy paste this and starts from here. So this is our where is self-assessment form? Oh, here. We have not yet created a component. So let's do this. Start with. So we are actually now going to implement the form. So right, so we can start from there. So we should not see any change, but we can just make some changes so that you can see the changes, right? So on this page, we'll see the self-assessment form, and yeah, so this is coming from this component. Now we can. So this is the self-assessment form. Let me copy paste. Right. So now we have the self-assessment form, and so basically we added this uh, message. Right. So we are adding the self-assessment form, and oh, this is not needed. So we are adding a column, right? The self-assessment form, which was currently just a heading, we have converted to a column, and in the column we have put the heading, and then we have added a instruction, and then we have created a row, right? And this row contains two buttons, so there is nothing really fancy here. So we can ignore these for now, right? So let's focus still here, right? Look at the code. There is some stuff here below it, but we ignore it for now, and let's ignore these lines. So we just have a row here, and row contains two buttons, primary button and a secondary button. So let's go here and let's see. Perfect. So we have simply added two buttons, but now we want these buttons to be actually meaningful, right? So so okay, these are the wrong direction I went to. So we are not going to need all of this garbage. So we are going to try to make this guy work, right? So these buttons should call our update backend API, right? So how do we do that, right? So we have to do it via on click, right? And we want to call a function called updates concept status, right? This is the one which we internally call, and we have to pass the concept URL. So how would we get the concept URL? So we have to pass the concept URL here. String concept URL. I have no idea what was I trying here. So this should work. Dollar self assess form dot concept URL. Right. So and status should be these strings done and see. Right. So yeah. So how do we do that? Actually, this was kind of I think done in the next commit. Yeah. So in the next commit, we got rid of some of the garbage that we created earlier, and now this is the function we want. This is the actual function. Right. So this is not what we want. This is what we want. Okay, perfect. So let's. Oh no, there's few lines deleted. These are also deleted. So we are calling this update concept status function with two parameters. So this is the function with two parameters: concept URL and the status. See what should be the new status. Right. So this is and we have created a third variable called action URL, and we are using this variable because we want to. So this is how we get the URL of this new backend that we are going to create, right? So uh, perfect. So now if we do this, we will okay. So we not pass that document. Mm, so we have to pass the so in the page. Ha. So now the backup is key. We need the URL, right? So I think this is also it was done in this. Okay. So okay, how do we pass this concept URL? And so this condition, right? So I think we have to add the concept URL. So if you look at this type, right? So instead of making this a boolean, if you change the type to concept URL and change the type to optional string. So this variable, single variable, right? So we want the where do we want to change which concept URL status we want to change should only show up. This form only shows up when this is the concept page, right? So right now it will not show up, but remember the self-assistant form only shows up if it is a concept page. So this single optional can handle two different. It will take care of two different data fields. So, anyways, so we'll change the condition from this to obviously we are changing the variable name only. Concept URL is not null, right? So in that case, we want to pass the concept URL, right, to the self-assessment form. So which means key page data has to change to concept URL, and yeah, in this situation, the fuck up is key. We do this, the form itself is not visible, so we can't really see if this button thing etc is working or not. So let's take it for granted for a moment. And so how did it work at all? Hmm, backend is not returning concept URL, but the condition is false. Oh yeah, so the what is happening is we are oh, because it is a nullable string, right? So basically what is happening is because my page data contains this new field and backend is not sending this new field because backend code we have not yet changed, right? This code is still sending this old key. So I was expecting it to kind of crash, right? So why was it not crashing? Because this guy is expecting a field, but it is not being passed by the, but because this field itself is described as a optional field. So like fasted basically you declared from the fasting side ki, hey, expect the backend guy to may not have this field, right? So obviously one thing could be done ki fasting should only accept this scenario where you know concept URL is passed but is explicitly set as none, right? So this like if this was the right scenario POCs whatever. So this is the input, right? So I'm saying ki this one is stricter than this, right? Because here uh, you are right. So because this is happened or some extra keys came, but the key that we were expecting, which is the capture concept URL, this key was not present, right? So currently fastn accepts this, sorry, this, even when the concept URL is missing, even then it will successfully parse this data. But I think this kind of error that we just saw, because here actually the nullability is not clear to me. What does it mean? Okay. Anyway, so currently we are more liberal. Maybe we should be more strict, but I'm not sure we should be more strict in this particular case. Hey, coming back to the so let's do that. So now we have to change the backend. So now the backend, this is concept URL, right? So this is what we are going to now return, and this should be option string, right? So now concept URL must be of type. So we will have to now find and then do and right. Let me do cargo fmt. Okay. So I mean this condition finds us the current entry corresponding to the current page, and current page is this URL, whatever. And for that guy, extracts the concept which is optional string. So if you look at this, this was always the optional string. So this is what we wanted. So cool. So now we should, when we restart this guy, because now we are rebuilding the Rust code, so the backend changes also go to. So far, first we have seen the front end change only go, and backend change didn't happen. So we were seeing a buggy behavior. The bug should be gone. So we are seeing the self assessment form here, but the self assessment form should not come on this page because it is not a concept, right? So cool. The next thing to, how do I say, is are these buttons working or not, right? So obviously buttons will not work. I mean to say the backend is missing, so we have not yet written the backend, but we should make a request to the backend of the right kind. So let's see. So we have made a request to the backend. Let's verify all the stuff. So the URL is this: teach backend update concept URL, perfectly fine. And where is the input, right? So we must be sending the, yeah, the concept URL, which is why fasten, and the status is done. So whether we are clicking this or this, we can verify this by clicking this as well, right? And in this case, the uh, this case the status would be seen, right? So here we are marking it as seen. Not done means what? Seen, right? So, and here it was marked done as status as done. Cool. So the front end code is working and the back end is not implemented because we don't have that file itself. So let's implement the back end. So you can copy paste here, creating this file. Excuse me. Okay. Excuse me. So we are creating this. Actually, instead of just working, this is the second commit. Let's go back to the. So here we added a very much smaller version of this. So let's do that first. Understand? Mm, we can't I copy this correctly. Yeah. So we have created a new backend. The data that we are passing. So over here we see we are sending concept URL and status. So we've created a type. We can actually let's call it input only because in future we might send more data. Perfect. So we are actually not even using in this particular commit. So we'll use it in future. So for now we are just okay. We are parsing this data, just verifying that this is correct, right? So and we are also looking at the UD because UD is going to be needed. Remember, we needed this user data because we want to change the concept user status, not globally, but because that has a user ID. So current user who is performing that action, their user ID should be added, right? So we needed the UD also. So we just to verify things are there, we are just going to do a print. So and we are going to so there's ID. Yes. So the last two times when we clicked on these two buttons, it failed. But let's see what happens now. Right, this time I click. Oh, it failed again. Brilliant. So because it failed, this is the error. And here, what have we learned? Why is it failing? There is no. Mm, yeah. So so one thing that happened was key. This happened, right? So I mean to say, uh, what do we say? So HTTP request went to the server, right? So and server get the server logic. Sorry, yeah, backend logic. So backend is basically telling you, "Hey page, reload yourself." Right. So when I clicked on the button, when I click on the button, basically the page is reloading. Right. So so we have currently done nothing. We do want to reload the page obviously after you mark the button as status has changed. So in terms of what we want page to happen from end user's perspective is this: what we would have wanted key this status should have changed right over because your marking it has done. So we should have seen a green check mark or a not done, a, like this kind of check dot over here, right? So the backend functionality is not working. So we have to try to make it work. But the expectation wise it is correct. So this portion of code we have to write. Now we can do it from scratch, but I'll just copy paste the. So so the first thing we do is we check, we implement this check framework, check thing. So basically we do the input data, this, okay, right? So basically we create this check guy and then we call this check. Actually, we can just call this uh, data check, right? So we are just doing some sort of validation, right? The first validation we want to do is, the main validation we want to do is key status. See, the status we have modeled it as string, and in Rust we can model it as an enum, but we are not doing it as of now because actually, why are we not doing it? That's a good question. Should we serialize this? Sorry, my batteries. Let me. Perfect. So, okay, for now, there is a, let's start with this version. We'll try to see, we'll see if we can do that part. For now, we'll just rely on this explicit check. I mean, the other way to do this could have been to do it through enum. For some reason, I'm not going to do it through enum, and I'll tell you later on. So So let's just whatever. So now when we do this, we have done one validation, right? So now what do we want to really do? So what we want to really do is uh, basically this. So I will we paste it and I'll explain it to you. So we want the user ID. So obviously we have done this user ID business in the past. Oops. You hate this D. Okay. What is wrong here? Okay. Right. So far we got in the user ID. Let's just compile and verify. Perfect. So what you want to do is you want to do the actual absurd, right? So you want to basically do absurd, or we can say data.absurd, right? So and question one here, and absurd is a function which will need the user ID, right? Which is the extra input, and it will need the connection object. So we have to, it should be mute and user ID and mute. Uh, Now we need a database. We need this, and yeah. So let's create that function. Fn absurd. We are going to ignore this and focus on this. So yeah, cool. Now how do we do that, right? So the code snippet was directly writing the SQL, but we are not going to write SQL. We are going to use Diesel. So I'll just copy paste this, and we'll understand, try to understand it. Right. So, okay. actually we can do this also, right? So cool. I mean, the other way. Oh, we need now also, so we have to add a now also, which is also grow uh, daytime. Okay. Now, and this is, let's see, Rust allows it. It's allowing it. Perfect. Uh, okay, so we have passed the now. So basically, FMT. It's also a clip to just instrument. Perfect. So what we are doing is now. Uh, so in the past, when we were working with the Populate TOC, we had created the schema file, and where we have a this fellow. So we are basically using that, and this is how you do insert. So basically, this button, if you see, the status actually can change, right? So you start with done, but you can go back to not done, or start with new, then seen, then so on, right? The status is actually constantly changing during the journey. So so therefore we actually want to do an upsert call, but how we do upsert call, I'll talk about. So it's basically an insert call with a conflict thing, right? Okay, on some conflict in do the update, right? So that's how you implement the upsert. So we want to do upsert, but we are starting with insert. So every upsert statement is an insert with some extra clause. So let's write the insert statement first. So this is wrong, and this is right only for once, for every combination of these three fields. Uh, Sorry, these two fields, for every combination of these two fields we can implement this once. And when we try to in fact, actually there is nothing in our system which stops us from calling this multiple times and inserting multiple rows. But that is nonsense, because for this combination of user ID and concept URL, we only want one status, right? So either you know it or you don't know it. Like, what's the meaning of, okay, I know it, and we don't want to keep track of a history of the status, right? That's a brilliant thing to keep track of. But then that is why we have the event table, so that we can actually track the history of stuff. um, so anyways, so what are we talking about, right? So we are talking about um, checking if this insert statement is working or not, right? So this is the starting point. So we are going to now restart our service so that our latest code gets compiled. Let's look at the SQLite 3 db.sqlite. uh, right, so, and the name of the table is so select star from this. So currently this is empty, right? So obviously what we are expecting is that when we click on this button now, we should get something bad happened on the back end. So let's see. No, no, page got reloaded. Let's see. No, nothing happened. So what is happening? So if I click on, let me clear the network tab. Mark is done. Right, so backend call happened, but nothing was okay. This is uh, what's the URL? How do we do the logs basically? So the URL is whew, this. So we get Search for this. SID update. Okay, user not found because I'm not logged in. And so let me log in. So obviously this is a issue. We should fix it, right? So that we don't insert unless the yeah. So anyways, I mean we should have
I'm not
explicitly
sure.
handled this
I'll message
error.
you.
Anyways, and
Did you think about the
this
timing? I mean, if we can just
is
start.
probably a new database. Let me see. Setting. Oh, user exists. So it must be that ASD one. ASD. And I'm logged in. Now I should be able to do the insert. Page reloads at this point.
तुम अबे छह लोग हो मेरे को क्यों पीछे पड़े हो मेरे
Perfect. Right, so I'm doing the insert, but I'm doing multiple inserts, which is not what we want. Right? And if you see, we have ended up making 3 inserts. So anyway, before we proceed, so this is a good point to. So we've implemented, right? So we have implemented our brand new update concept status. We have modified our populate UC because we wanted this concept URL, and then you know and we added this field where we are doing this check you and then we have started our absurd function, right? So we done a diesel query, and yeah, we removed this because this bug was fixed and we no longer have to copy the awesome files, and this is the corresponding condition, right? This form should only show up condition, and yeah, so started absurd. Perfect. Now, oh, I think we didn't discuss this. No, I think we discussed it. Okay, perfect. So now what we want to do is fix the. So this is a data integrity problem, right? What we just saw, wherein So if you look at our DB, it's in actually wrong state. This should not. This should never have happened, right? So this what should never have happened is basically this should have a single row for user ID comma what is called the concept, right? So first we have to go to our database table itself and add a constraint, right? So a unique constraint. So basically that is still just basically we want to say index, let's call it new NIQ. Let's each user concept. Actually, let's do this. User ID concept unique. So we are creating a unique index on this, and we have to pass these two. Okay, perfect. So basically, I'm changing the convention now. So basically, why not? Right. So maybe tomorrow we can write some program that analyzes our table and does shows something interesting. Yeah. And I'm going to do one more change, reformat this SQL because whatever, the line was too long. Yeah. And since we are doing it for these two guys, we should do it for. And Okay, because we have done that, we should fix this also. Okay. Yeah, basically now I'm going to put everything in. Okay. I think all the keywords are capitalized now. Anyways, so let's see. Now we're going to delete this DB. And then when we restart our service, migration will happen. And right, so the migration should happen, and now we should have a okay. Now when we look at right, so obviously this time the row is in a row. So now when we do this, uh, oh again we will have the same problem because I am not logged in. Uh, I'll have to sign up first because my user account is also gone because I deleted the DB. Excuse me. Create account is failing. Oh, because of the cookie. So this cookie. So I created an account, and if the cookie is wrong, our backend fails to set the cookie. So I'm actually my account is created, but I'm not logged in. So I'm going to sign in page and log in. So this is a bug that we will hopefully fix soon. So anyway, so now I'm logged in. Now if I go here, so till now, just a reminder that there is no row in this table. Cool. And then we are going to click on this button and there should be now one row in the table, which is perfect. Now when I click on any of this, our check constraint should happen and our system should fail, right? See, so something has happened, and if you look at the network, probably there would be a red. Okay, there are probably too many red stuff, but anyways, we can see the logs over here. So this fellow failed, right? Perfect. And why did it fail? Because there is a unique violation. So everything is perfect, working as expected. So now how do we fix this problem? So we fix this problem by converting it to an absurd statement. So before we insert into values, and then we say on conflict, right? So this is brilliant. Just that this is it can do this basically, and so basically we are saying on conflict. What do we want to do, right? So what have we done wrong? Go away, go away, go away. Yes. So on conflict, we have to decide what do you want to do. So this statement is incomplete statement. So we'll have to do dot uh, do update and update. Let's just like Let's look at the next commit to see the stuff. I mean, it takes some time. Yeah. So yeah. So these are the trust AI generated code. Anyways, so self dot status should be. Let's see. First, let's fmt. Let's look at the code first. So what we are saying is, if there is a conflict, and not on any conflict, but specifically for this conflict, you want to do a update, right? And so basically, instead of inserting, you want to, because it's a unique constant, there must be exactly one row. So instead of inserting, just update some of the fields. So we want to change the status to the new status, right? This is the main thing, and we also want to change the updated at, right? So uh, yeah. So let's see if this is happening. So we modified the code, and now we are going to, let's just do clippy before as a whatever. It's not needed because we are going to build the code right away. Any which ways. Okay. So yeah, so our code was valid. Now if we click in, so remember the last time when we clicked, nothing happened. So let's say this time if I click, let's see it, just to make sure that it is indeed happening. Let's look at our TV and the current status. So if I pass done, let's say if I click on the done wala button, then only the updated ad should change, right, and nothing else. So let's do that. So I call it done, and there's a page reload. And if I do this SQL query, updated ad would have changed, and that's it, right? So the only thing which has changed is the updated ad, right? So the created ad is the same, done. Everything else is the same. Till here, everything is same. Till here, till here, till here. Around this point, we diverge. Okay. So, and obviously, we click again, and this time the this done should become seen, right? So there's a single row. So we have implemented the uh, main part of the logic. Now, if you see this icon also is changing, right? Oh, if I make it done, it should become market done. It should have become green. Yeah. So, so as we see, our basic functionality is indeed working. Uh, do we have any other? No, we don't have any other page. So yeah, so everything is perfect, working perfectly, and yeah, so we just added this and the constraints and the unique index, right? So our update thing is update concept status is working at a very gross level. You can say our basic functionality is working, right? So now people can go and create pages, and the learner can come, they can create an account and mark their status. Obviously we can show the current status here more correctly. Here the only way to find out that what is the status is to look for the current page and then look at the dot for that. So we can improve UI a lot, obviously. So but the functionality, this is first kind of like a working version of this thing, right? So just for the this thing, what else have we done in these? We have changed this table stuff, is current page, etc. gone, and we've changed from, I think this is just a debugging that I yeah, I was actually coding from flight, and there were no internets reloading that, so that those icons were not loading because I was on the internet. So I changed this whole thing to the moved from icons to text, right? And yeah, this is we have already done. So yeah, perfect. So we have caught up with everything here. So yeah, it's a good time for us to stop. We have implemented the basic version of it. In the subsequent ones, we will tackle some interesting problems. Okay, bye bye.